Great. Good afternoon, everyone. If you can hear me, can you just leave a message in the chat box?
Hi, hello, Bisola.
Hi, Ayo. Hi, Mohammed. Hi, Sarah. Good afternoon. Great. Apologies for the delay. We had a bit of technical glitch. But it's glad to see everyone this afternoon. My name is Bisola, and I manage the Evolving CFOs community at Duplo. I'll also be your moderator this afternoon. Our speakers are here already. So we'll just get started. That's Ayotani Mowo is would you like me to proceed with the introduction, or you do the honor?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So Ayotani Mowo is the finance controller at Travelstart. He has over 16 years of experience in financial accounting, and he has worked in multiple industries. Travelstart is actually a tech-enabled travel agency where he currently works. So he's going to be sharing from his wealth of experience on how to transition this afternoon. Hi, Ayo. Good afternoon. Thanks for honoring our invitation.
Thank you.
We also have on the call Emmanuel Fates. He's a 3-time TEDx speaker. He's a certified HR professional, and he has worked in tech for quite some time. Before now, he worked at Cowrywise, where he headed the people and culture team. And at the moment, he works with Bikabao, where he heads the talent acquisition team. Hi, Emmanuel. We are glad to have you here this afternoon.
Hello, everyone. I'm super delighted to be here. Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. Finally, we have Mohammed with us. Mohammed is the finance lead at Duplo. He also has a wealth of experience in financial accounting, bookkeeping, analysis, and has worked in tech for quite some time. He would also be sharing from the finance professional perspective on how to transition and how to land the perfect role for you as finance professional in tech. Hi, Mohammed. How are you there? Good afternoon, Mohammed. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Great. Before we kickstart the webinar, the discussion, I'd just like to know the attendees, are you as ready for the conversation as we are? Where are you chatting from? Just leave your comments. I want to know you're listening to us. Thanks, Angela. Thanks, Ineni from Abuja. Great, great. I don't see more comments before we start. Samuel Akoni, hi, Ololade. Hi, Boluwatife, good afternoon. Hi, Paul. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mercy. That's great, great, great. Nice. Cynthia from Yaba, how are you today? Okay, I guess we can get started now. To open the floor, I'll be starting with Mohammed. Mohammed currently works in tech. So I'd just like to know, before now you've worked in a sector that wasn't tech related, and you've also worked in tech. Is there a difference? How has the transition been like? Or should I say, what is the difference between working in tech as a finance professional and working in other sectors, Mohammed?
Yeah, thanks, Abisa. So I'm prior to running the tech industry, I was more of a practice and working in the practice sector, that's being an external auditor and also bookkeeping accountant. I think the major difference here is I think tech is more fast-paced and you have things that change. You have different consumer needs and then how to go to the market. So basically, it's not far off of the basic accounting you will know. However, when you get to tech, there's a lot of, let's say, financing proper you have to do, analysis, how do you do your pricing?
Okay, that's great. So are there any special skills that are required or maybe different functions that you do now that you didn't used to do before?
Well, I said the foundations are quite the same. However, it's having to understand the changes in the sector when it comes to regulation and also having to understand the need at the other point in time. So it's a case of where you have to build yourself constantly and then improve upon what you already know so that you don't become obsolete. But however, there's a basic knowledge we all have to have as a finance professional, which is the basic accounting knowledge and all that you have to really have. But on top of that, you need to build more on it when you come into tech because you're working with large volume of data. You have to do more analysis and you have to be able to ensure that you give out good projections.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you, Mohammed. So I'll be passing it on to Hayo. I know you've also worked in multiple sectors as well, and now you currently work in tech. So what would you say are the skills required, or what skills have helped you to transition smoothly from these sectors into tech?
Okay, thank you very much. I've worked in various sectors, right from practice, which is with PwC, from the consulting audit place to working in the power sector, to working in the maritime, to banking, to agriculture, and even in multidisciplinary roles and all that. But tech is a whole ball game, very different. And what you would need a lot is, as Mohammed has said, very fast-paced. So you need to be quick to respond and to be very agile. So those who do agile Scrum are very, very important. You need agility. You also need to be data-driven. In everything, data is what determines it. You have data for everything. You can't just say based on my gut feeling, you've got to have data. So you need to be data-driven, which leads to the next part, which is the analysis, which is data analytics. I would encourage everyone in finance to take up a data analytics course. And there are very free ones online, very robust that you can do online, Google and even in other places. Extremely important. You need to be able to analyze data quickly. And that's where the speed that we spoke about comes in. So being fast, agile, being data driven, and also having strong data analytics skills are very important in that regard.
Thank you so much. So from what you have said, your technical skills have helped you to evolve in your role and to also evolve into a different industry, especially data analytics. So I'll pass it on to Emmanuel. So you've said the roles, the skills that you think have influenced your launch into the tech sector. But from the HR perspective, Emmanuel, what skills do you actually look out for when you are recruiting a finance talent for tech?
That's an interesting question to ask. I think the first thing we look out for is really open mind. You know, how open-minded is this person? From experience of interview professionals, those that spend time in the management consulting or really structured environment are used to processes, you know, a lot of documentations. And it doesn't even mean that doesn't exist in the fintech space. It just means that in the fintech, things move faster. So for example, if you're working with Coca-Cola, you know, or maybe I'm thinking of another consortium, a Unilever, you know, you're doing your financial or your budget per annum, but you're working in a fintech where your budget can change twice in a quarter, right? So how willing are you open to adapt? You know, how willing are you able to adapt to the new system? The second thing is we always want to be sure that the person actually puts his or her ears on ground concerning what's going on in the tech space, because finance is different from finance in tech, right? So finance in tech, you're talking about VC, you're talking about venture capital, funding, etc., you know, things like that. Things that are very industry specific, right? I remember one of my most interesting conversation was a conversation around employee stock options plan. You know, as a finance working in Unilever or PwC, you probably don't need to bother yourself with that. But if a finance manager in fintech, ESOP, core parts, you know, of your deliverables, the administration, the interpretation, and things like that. So those two things, one, how open are you, right? Because you're coming from an industry that is sort of quote unquote rigid. So an industry where things are flexible, but also have to work. Then the second is how conversant are you with the technicalities of the fintech space? You know, can you comfortably speak to an investor? Can you speak to a venture capitalist? You know, can the CEO take you along on a meeting to meet, you know, potential investors or people that want to raise, and you are not searching for maybe one function on Excel to provide something, right? Can you do a spontaneous financial forecast? Can you quickly, you know, analyze sales revenue, you know, sales forecast and things like that? So that industry spontaneity is very important.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I think I actually picked something from that. Finance is different from finance in tech. So we need to understand that, or finance professionals need to understand that when they are looking to transition. So in terms of positioning for a new role, how would you advise people, should I say early starters, who are not who are just migrating to finance? How would you advise them to position themselves, or where they can look to get this kind of roles?
That's a very, I like that you asked that, because that's like half of the questions that I have, and things I probably share are things that, you know, Ayo will probably speak to, or Mohammed. The first thing is, I think that people in finance are the luckiest. Why? Because it's a technical space and we don't understand what you guys are doing, right? If I book a personal session with Ayo or Mohammed, I probably spend 1 hour jotting. So one of the best ways is to actually hear what you know in a relatable way. Another exciting thing is that there is always news in the finance space. You know, SVB has crashed. All of us are just Googling SVB. We don't know what SVB is. We don't know how the crash of SVB has affected us in the finance sector. Please teach us how that has done, you know, has affected us in basic language. Use pizza and ice cream as an illustration. You know, when I read a thread from someone like that, in my head, I'm like, this person knows what he's doing. Even if that person is a junior person. There is end of year reports, there is quarterly reports. Some of us don't know what it is. Come and explain why complaint do every time, I get invites to attend AGM. I don't even know why. To do a trade on why AGM is important for you to attend as a shareholder. I believe that the more you share, the more people perceive that you know. And then people perceive that you know, the more people recommend you for opportunities. I will take that again. The more you share, the more people perceive that you know. You don't even have to know, but people have the perception.
Can someone help us write down the chat? The more you share, the more people perceive that you know. I should actually write that down, not just for finance professionals in general.
Right, and then the more you know, more people recommend you for opportunities. So share that little thing that you know. Share how to do. Some of us today, we don't know. When I get alert and I see credits and I get till today, debit and credit still confuses me, right? Explain to us why GTB is always taking 59 naira every month for card maintenance. Just one day I read a very interesting thread from a guy. The guy was explaining GTB. He works with WSTC. He was explaining GTB's revenue and how GTB is making more money from charges than from interest on deposits. And I started, checking my alert and seeing all the 59 naira, 38 naira. And that just made sense to me. And I would not have paid attention if I didn't read that thread. So always share what you know, and that will lead more people to recommend you for desired opportunities. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I can see that Ayo had something to add to what you said. Do you agree, Ayo? What do you think?
No, definitely, I agree a lot, and especially in the part of simplicity, it's always important that as professionals, we appear as simple as possible to everyone. Let's stop making finance look so esoteric. That's another not so simple language, but meaning let's not make it complex. We will try and see how we can bring it down to the level of whoever we're talking with. So a very strong finance skill is communicating at the level of the person you're dealing with. So if I'm speaking with an operations person, I should be able to speak in operating terms. To a marketing person, I should be able to have a good understanding of it, explain things in their own terms. If I'm speaking to someone in maybe IT, I should be able to everyone understands from their own just in our head. And it's a big skill, it's a good skill to develop, or it's tough to develop.
Thank you for that. So I have a question for Mohammed. Do you think professional qualifications like ACCA, FCA, correct me if I'm wrong, do you think they matter when you want to transition, or are technical skills more important?
Thanks, Abisa. I think professional certification is good, but at the point of transitioning, I think that's not more of it, but along the line is something that being a professional need to be certified in that line of career.
Okay, can you help us expatiate on that?
Okay, let's take it for instance, someone moving from, say, engineering to finance, probably just wants to chase his passion, he likes finance and wants to be there. The person will start the professional certification. However, that's not until you say he has finished his certification before he now comes into finance fully, because you still need the hands-on experience. You need the know-how. You don't have to say you having certification doesn't confirm the know-how. Let me just put it that way. However, it's a necessity, but the skill, the experience you get being hands-on is quite different from having a certification.
Maybe just to add to that, maybe also from a unique perspective, yeah, very important. I like the fact that we talked about the importance of having hands-on experience, but especially when you are transitioning, like you said, there's a way that certification also reinforces your chance, to play in the new industry. Especially because today, for the discussion, the focus is fintech. Guys in fintech like to brag a lot, the VCs, the funders, they like to brag. And for instance, having CFA is like a ticket to the world. I remember that at my former place of work, I had a portfolio manager who was pretty young, very young, and who was also already, a CFA charter holder. And like the brand perception moved from like 50 to 150. We had just launched a product that was business consolidation around that period. And just because our finance manager was, our financial became FCA, that's fellow of chartered accountants. Then our portfolio manager was a young CFA charter holder. That sort of just changed the perception that investors, had about the brand. And of course, the co-founder was also a CFA charter holder. So sometimes experience is very important. Yes, definitely. The know-how is very important. But also, if you have the resources, especially if you have, I always advise that people have exit plan, right? So if you have like a 6 month, 1 year exit or transition plan, definitely add, a major certification to that, so that it also helps enhance your opportunities in getting a role in the new industry. Ayo wants to say something.
Yeah. I'm just nodding to acknowledge all what you said. But I think one other thing that would help, especially in our roles, because you spoke of having an exit plan, is to ensure that all our processes that we deal with in finance are documented. Documenting your processes helps to onboard people quickly, and also so that when after your exit, someone can quickly on board and the machine keeps rolling without stopping. It's like an F1 motor car, race. When the vehicle goes to the pit stop, less than 10 seconds, the tires remove the place and the car is ready to move. So it's having those processes well documented and well explained, so people can move in and go out without disturbing the flow of the business. That's important.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Mohammed. There are actually a lot of points to pick from everything you said. I believe it's relative. Like Emmanuel said, having those certifications, they might also give applicants or professionals an extra edge, and not just the professionals, the brands they work with as well. But I think from the varied perspectives, it's kind of something I picked up. So while this might be good for, while it might be good for the brand and also maybe good for positioning, do you think it matters since their deliverables are not dependent on the certifications? I think I'll pass that to Ayo.
The truth is, certificates help from a branding point of view. As Emmanuel has rightly said, it gives you a big brand value, and you can get some good opportunities. So I would say a good name, a good certificate opens the door for you. However, once you enter into the building, nobody cares about the certificate. It's now what you can deliver. So it's always important that those who have that high brand are able to get their hands dirty and move quickly to embed themselves into the team, because there's already a team culture, a team that they met on ground, embed themselves in the team, and quickly start to show value. Once you do that, you get quickly accepted. People now respect you, not just because of your brand, but also because of what you have delivered. And that helps. So having a brand gets you to the door, or being able to knuckle down and deliver a job helps you to be well accepted.
Okay. I think that's like the third major point that I've actually picked out today. Having a brand will open the door for being able to get the job done, we're able to get accepted, as well as putting yourself out there. And if things are not documented, nobody knows what you've done as well. So I have a question for Mohammed. In terms of career trajectory for someone who is joining the tech ecosystem, what's the journey like from a new entrant?
Okay, yeah, thanks. Basically, I think you have to have a career plan because your career is in your hand, really. So at the point you join, if you join in as a management trainee at a senior level and a more senior level and executive management, but if you join in, let's say from the beginning, say an officer or a mid-level person, it boils down to you, how far do you want to go within the industry, how much achievement you want to do. For me, I keep saying your career is in your hands, so that as I've joined a company now, I'm looking at it from example, say, at the end of so time, I want to be a CFO or a financial controller, just like I or my senior colleague. So they are looking at it and saying, where do you want to go to at the end of the day? So it really boils down to the person, and I believe every company wants to empower its staff. So if you are doing the work and they see the value in it and also see the ability for it to deliver, surely the sky is starting.
Great, thank you. So I have a question for Emmanuel from the HR perspective. So we've talked about certifications, we've talked about technical skills, but what soft skills do you look out for, or are soft skills also considered when you're hiring for finance talents?
Yes, definitely. And that's a really nice question to ask. Yes, soft skills. I doubt that there's any role in the tech space that we don't, consider soft skills, because the tech generally is very collaborative, and we like to say that there's a lot of moving pieces. So unlike some places where things are structured, their systems, their documentations, that a manager of this level must approve this before this goes out. A lot of things happen spontaneously and pretty fast. So the first thing we watch out for, of course, is collaboration. Hope you don't bang your laptop or you throw your shoe at the HR when the HR says, oh, I know that we didn't put this in the Q1 budget, but we need senior software engineers so that this product will launch. And senior, all the senior engineers are Japan now. So the one we saw said he wants to earn $3,000. Is that your budget? So we need that level of collaboration and fluidity. We want to be sure that you can collaborate well, especially with other teams. Well, one of the most interesting things I experienced as the head of talent when I was at CarryWise was one day our finance manager wanted to share a message. It was about something about documentations and how to get, what's that thing that we call it? Reimbursements. And, she had written all this very technical stuff and she had sent it to me. And in my head, I'm like, who will read this? Is it the designer? So ability to also communicate very technical things in very simpler terms. So, I'd edited a message. I just put it in the most simplest way. I know that's tautological. And then just by the time I shared it with her, I was like, okay, you two, look at what you wrote. Like what's the name of this guy that does skit? You two see, look at what you wrote and look at what I wrote. Which one is more relatable? So first, how easily are you, able to collaborate with people? Secondly, how technically sound are you? How well are you able to communicate this technical soundness, to the layman? Because unlike a very structured environment where your colleagues are also financial consultants, even those that are not in finance have some level of knowledge of finance. You are working with fintech where you are the minority, the people you serve, your internal stakeholders are the HR, the senior designer, other hiring managers that don't understand all the big English that you're saying. I remember one time someone said, oh, why do we have to share receipt all the time? Why can't you just do a lump sum at the end of the month? And you have to explain that, tax man will not understand the lump sum. You have to be able to share that periodical receipt that the month is, understandable. So How collaborative are you? How technically stand are you? The third one is not always priority, but we also covertly watch out for leadership, right? Because you have to be able to, especially for senior roles, you have to be able to lead your team towards execution. You'll be working on different audits, LRS, dealing with external stakeholders. So we want to be sure that one, you are confident, so you have the ability to lead your team towards execution. But this is mostly for senior roles. For junior, majorly, can you collaborate with other teams, and are you technically sound enough to teach other people? People say that you don't have full understanding of something till you can teach it to someone else in a simpler way. So that's one policy of IRA that guides us. I hope that you find that very
Thank you, Emmanuel. That's actually very insightful. So from what you just said, I actually picked something about being able to lead. So I'll be directing a question to Hayo about managing finance entry-level staff in tech. So say for example, there's a scenario where you're joining a new team and the employees you're working with or your colleagues that you're working with in your team are actually not as experienced as you are. You have worked in other sectors and you're coming into tech. What skills do you require as a leader, as a manager, to put them on track?
Very, very interesting question. And as the kind of person I am, and also the kind of company I work with, we're always looking for great talent. So if there are any great talent out there that is looking for in travel or in travel staff, please hit me up afterwards. But it's always important as a leader to make the environment comfortable for new intakes. And first thing is you must ensure to the last day in leaves. Those are days that are very important. How you treat them helps or bring them on board. And all of these are leadership skills that are soft skills, but they help to first is the onboarding. How prepared is the person coming in? You don't want someone who's coming in on a Monday and you've not prepared, it's not the laptop, the person is just there. Those things do not welcome the individual. So ensuring that the onboarding is well. Secondly, as I've said, ensuring your processes are documented so that you can present something to the guy that will coming in, or maybe that these are your roles, this is what is expected, these are the processes to do that. It helps, it empowers that person. Thirdly, being able to have one-on-one discussions, maybe on a weekly basis at the beginning, then later on a monthly basis, for like check-ins, where you checking emotionally with the person, checking where the person is at mentally, and also being able to give you what she is requiring helps to bring the person on board. Fourthly, you have to have good training sessions for this person, training within the company. So the person interacts with all of that teams, training outside. So if there are gaps in their skill levels that needs to be developed, you need to have them. But these are things you as a leader have to make ready for the person coming in, the new finance talent. On the part of the finance person, or the new person coming into tech, you must be ready to work as hard as possible. Once you have that very strong motivation to work, the tech world is yours to take it, to discover.
Thank you very much, Aya. So another question just popped up. Yeah. So I think I'll just move that to Mohammed. For someone who is actually still in school, because we have students who joined the webinar and they are looking up to you, looking up to Aya, they want to work in fintech sometime in the future. What skills do you think, or what certifications or online trainings do you think they can start taking now early so that as they graduate, they just they get a role in tech, or they're able to land a role in tech without going through the journey of having roles in other industries first?
Okay, for people still in school, I think basically to take up internship roles and mentorship and then look for mentors. So typically, if I should drill down to myself, before I started working full time, I actually had mentors that exposed me to life work environment. So that comes with some level of confidentiality as well, where you have to work on like transactions for your mentors. So basically, it's a mentor-mentee relationship that needs to be established in such a way that the vital skills are imbibed in you early on. So I has emphasized so much on having to work at, like, you need to be able to put the hours in to get the knowledge you need. And then also I think typically for every accountant, the basic skill, you must not use Excel. Like that is out there. You should not use Excel. So you can take online courses on Excel to kind of build yourself on it, because when things and data start being pushed to you, that's typically your lifesaver. How do you use that to analyze? There are other AI softwares that will do that for you, but that basic knowledge of Excel, and then say to the intermediate level, you need to know it so well. But for people in school and looking into finance and also in tech space, I think the best option is going through a mentor-mentee relationship. So the person kind of, I have said, the leader can assess the gap and start filling the person in based on the capacity. So you don't want to load somebody too much on what he needs to learn. So you take it step by step, and the person starts assimilating so fast, and that way, by the time the person is done, also taking this education, is almost as ready to. I'm sure where you get to go for interviews or you get to work with people, they won't believe you just came out of school.
That's great. So do you mentor people? Because we might have people within the community that would like to get access to mentors.
Yes, I try to do that. I think I've enjoyed mentorship. So I think morally it's on me to able to be to mentor people too as well. So people coming in, but if you have to mentor someone, I think first of all you have to be open-minded, because if I'm to tell you how it works and the truth about the place, I don't think finance person, like I have said, if you come in, there's no way, nobody wants to be anybody. You must be ready to deliver. You understand the gap, but there's some basic tasks that when you are being assigned, I should be able to see the level of your capacity and deliver. Then the gaps, that's when I have to come to fill in, give the explanation based on my own experience too. So I think if I have to come back to myself when I started out, a lot of times I wouldn't know something, but I'm not shy to go and ask questions to say I need to know. Even though I know it, I'm actually assume zero knowledge, because the way I might do analysis, someone like Ayo is more experienced, might have another method. So there's nothing stopping me to assume zero knowledge so that I can even learn his method, and if it's faster, or I can combine the two and give me better results. So in this place, you have to be kind of open-minded, and when you're going to mentorship, so I'm able to do mentorship as well as you have to balance it, that you have to see that this person is actually ready to as well.
Okay, that's great. I think I'll leave that open to Ayo as well, because we have people from our community here who would be interested. So Ayo, do you mentor as well?
Oh, yes. And as Mohammed said, I have been I've been a privileged recipient of great mentors, and I know how powerful it is. It makes you to move faster, and it helps you to reduce errors or mistakes. So I am always open to mentor people, very, very, very much open. And as long as you're willing to also be open-minded, I am very open-minded when it comes to mentorship. It's also important for the mentee to be open-minded, very curious, ask as many questions as possible, and also be willing to put in the work. It's very important. So that each time we connect, one can see verifiable evidences of growth, of improvement. It's not like we said something last quarter, it's still the same thing this quarter, it's the same thing the fourth quarter, then it's a disincentive. Or once we see growth, it also motivates the mentor to put in additional work, and it's good. So I'm all for it.
Okay, so if you would like Ayo or Mohammed to mentor you and you're on the community group, he's actually a member now. So I'll drop his contact as well as Mohammed's contact after this event, so you can reach out to them and ask them questions as well. So I have a question about during this mentorship period, I know Mohammed mentioned something about getting access to the work mentors are working on, maybe work on transactions and stuff. Are mentees allowed to document this when seeking roles?
So
Mohammed,
I think I mentioned things around confidentiality. So definitely I'm going to give you a live transaction, but something very similar. I might change few things around it just for you to understand, but because I have a duty to my own company too, but in a space where I can get the data of what you can see. Say, take for example, I'm trying to look for my top 10 customers and all. There's also start with using Excel to analyze it. So I might just replicate a data, but definitely the confidential information won't be there. And I share with you that is, do it, and let me see what you come back with. So it's what I'm looking out for is not you giving me the answer, but just the method at which you arrive at your answer. So that way, but definitely I won't I have to do a duty of order to my own company. So I won't give you as like live transaction for you to see. However, is something that is close to it, one is obtainable. So should you say you're going for an interview today, if you are taking that exercise serious and they're asking you similar questions, it's just going to be, you're going to just blow it out of what I say, yes, I've done this before. And you have that live experience to share with them in an interview.
Okay, I think that's a bit tricky. So I'll just rephrase my question. So for people who are just actively seeking your roles, and they've worked on projects with their mentors that are not actually their own life projects, is there a way to document this to enable them land a role? Is it the use of dashboards, or can they put this in their CVs? Something like that, or a portfolio, yes.
Yes, so let's take for example, I'm gonna have to learn a few things, and I'm interviewing with Ayo, for example. He's going to be asking me technical questions, which by my response, you know if I've actually got my update on that kind of job or I have any idea around it. So the major goal here is not saying I've actually analyzed Duplo's record. No, it's more of I've done analysis of this and this and this to get this. So by the time I get to an interview and then they're saying, give me a process of how you do this or how you talk about this, talk about that. Because you've done it, someone viewed it and giving you insight to what you need to do better. That way, you're going to be able to represent yourself very well.
That's great. So I'll just cut in to say that if you have questions, please you can start dropping them in the Q&A box. So if you're using your laptop, you can see that in the toolbar below Q&A, and we will attend to them after this session, one after the other. Thank you so much, Mohammed. I have a question for Ayo as well as Emmanuel, but I'll just start with Ayo. So through your career journey and working in tech at the moment, what has been the biggest challenge?
Thank you. Wow, that's a very, very deep question that needs some introspection. Because life.
Hi, Shedrack. Sorry to cut in. Can you drop that in the Q&A segment, please? Please go ahead.
Okay. Because we all face challenges. Nigeria itself is a challenge as it is now. And that's why you see a lot of people trying to go out and get the Japa route and all that. But some of the challenges that I have faced, and I will take one outside for finance, outside tech, and then the remaining within tech. So the first challenge I faced was moving from a non-finance background. I was actually a science student and moved to build up my qualifications as it is. And it was tough. I remember those days where I would go to the toilet and I'll start crying, oh Lord, why? Because it was very, very intense, the pressure to deliver, and you're still trying to understand the terms. It was very intense. But you've got to see those, you've got to build up resilience and attack the problem. And over time, the problem, once you're consistent, the challenges become your stepping stone. So from a non-finance, from science student background, now I am an FCCA. I've got my MBA from Inside Business School, and all these qualifications I've had over that period. So it's just being able to develop resilience over that. Now, coming to tech, one of the things that I had to realize was my 16 years of experience, I had to dump it for a while and become a student all over. So I always say that it's always important that you have what you call an L on top of your forehead. L, for those who drive, the first time you are driving and you're learning to drive, L, that's a learner sign. You got to put an L on your forehead and tell anyone, look, I don't understand. No matter how elderly or how your experience is, it's zero. And you've got to accept that and listen to everybody, ask as many questions as possible. And that was a challenge, being able to humble yourself, because you'll see someone who is far younger than you and he has more experience in that industry than you, and you've got to humble yourself and learn as much as possible. Focus so much information from that person. Be willing to do the crunching job, just so that you can learn, do the hard work, the hard task. And once you do that, you realize in 6 months or 3 to 6 months, you are on a key level. So those challenges of building resilience and challenges that involves in having a new industry and being able to learn all the terms from scratch helps. And they develop the resilience in you as a person.
Thank you so much, Hayo. So basically resilience and persistence when you're transitioning. Yep. So from the people management perspective, Emmanuel, how would you propose that people or finance professionals manage this transition from a different sector to tech, especially when you have to dump your experience and start learning all over again? Like Ayo said, maybe not dump, but put it aside and start learning new terms in the tech sector. How would you propose that people manage this situation for finance professionals?
Oh, okay. Very well. Just 3 things. And I honestly think that those 3 things have been covered by Hayo and Mohammed already. One is first to have a transition plan. Don't say that, hey, they are paying big money in tech, so I'm dumping
blood money.
It's blood money. Hey, there is no 9 to 5 in tech. It's 24. Right. So one is to have a transition plan. So it might be 3 months, might be 6 months, might be 9 months. Your transition plan, for instance, can be, Mohammed has spoken to being very conversant with data. So your plan can be, number 1, learn how to use Power BI. You've learned the whole Sage and Peachtree. It's time to dump Sage and Peachtree and start learning Power BI, and SQL, as the case may be. You might even want to learn Python, right? So have that transition plan. It highlights the skill gap between what you have right now and what is required for where you are going. The certification gap from where you are right now, and what is required to where you are going. For example, I know that one of the not really major certifications, but that can also help you in this FMVA. I don't know the full meaning, but I know that something, I don't know if Mohammed or Ayo can help me. I know that a lot of my friends are like
MVA.
analysts, in the tech space have that certification. So they're able to do financial modeling very well. They're able to do valuation very well. Just all those other technicalities that can stand you out as a finance professional. So first is, yes, thank you so much, Samuel. Yeah, so first is that practical transition plan. Second, I'm so glad. I mean, Mohammed and I, you guys are so generous. This one meets me for mentorship right now. I don't have time. Right. So the second thing is really cool. Talk to leaders. I love to share this story anywhere I go. So I was in finance before, by the way. That's why I still know all these things. I studied economics, and my first 9 to 12 months was in tax. So yeah, so I know all those things. So when I was moving to HR, one of the most interesting things that every time I remember that I did that, I'm super proud of myself, was every weekend I sent a DM to 10 HR professionals. No jokes, guys. So I'd written this very interesting book. I'd read this very interesting book that was written by Lara Yeko. It was a storybook. The title is actually my HR storybook. And it contained a storybook of 55 HR professionals. And when I was done, I wrote the name of all the 55 and I sent all of them a DM on LinkedIn. Yeah, I did that so I went to do LinkedIn premium trial, because I was broke. So, but it just shows you the level of intentionality. I mean, obviously, some people did not reply till 6 months
Of
after.
course,
Some
of
people
course.
replied the next week. Someone even replied that day. I was staying at that reply. When someone replies you and you don't even know what to say next. So I'd composed code mail. Hey, my name is Fred Emmanuel. I'm a versatile something. I'm currently doing my CIPM. I'm excited at the opportunity to, all those big English. And she just replied and say, oh, hi, Emmanuel, happy to chat. Put a time on my calendar for next week. What? So, and yeah, some people might be cold, some people might not reply in time, but trust me, 1 out of 20 people will reply. And there's just a lot. I think Aya and Mohammed spoke to that. There's just a lot that you can get from just having 30 minutes, trust me, 30 minutes conversation with someone that is doing what you want to do can literally change your career trajectory forever. So that's number 2. And number 3 is just stay within the news. That you are moving to fintech, things that you don't pay attention to before, you have to start paying attention to it. I was checking Twitter today and I saw that there are 38 fintechs in Nigeria owned by women. Like 38. I was totally astounded. I know that there are a lot, but I did not think that, right? So, exciting news like that. There is something trending in the fintech. Just go and see. Bookmark Tech Kabar, read Tech Next. Just be conversant. When you go for interview, you'll be surprised that all the small knowledge that you have been reading, at leisure, would come to place and will enrich your discussion and even position you to, oh, you're ready to have that exciting conversation with the hiring manager. So first, have a very practical and implementable transition plan. It is very important. Don't just wake up and say, I want to get blood money in tech, right? Number 2, just reach out to people and be very patient when you're reaching out to people. You might reach out to 10 people and 5 people might respond, and you might reach out to 20 people and respond. Trust me, that's someone that responds can change your life forever. There are people in the HR industry today that just conversing with them once just put in my mind forever. And then the last is really just pay attention to that industry that you're moving to. It's very important.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So now that you've touched on LinkedIn, it's the era of social media. Would you recommend reaching out to people? So apart from LinkedIn, let's say Twitter, there are lots of tech founders and HR recruiters on Twitter as well. Would you recommend this over applying via the company channel?
Oh, so very, very interesting question to ask, by the way. So yeah, I always advise people to reach out. I mean, my colleagues in tech have shared out what jobs by. It's not even my colleagues in tech. I have personal experience. There's a company that I applied to because I was bored, to be honest. I was very bored. I not interviewed in like 16 months because I obviously worked where I was working. So I wanted to interview for the. I told my friend, hey, you people, I'm clocking 2 years in this company and I feel like, I'm getting dormant. I want to see what's going on in the market. So they had to afford them this opportunity. I'd applied and they had me. Now, that same company that aired me, that CHR actually came to my DM on LinkedIn asking to converse with me because I'd written an article on, I think that gender wage parity. So it was a very technical article that was explained in basic terms, right? So I wrote about gender wage parity and I talked about how it trickles down to productivity and just just the technical terms were in a very relatable way. So she had liked the article. And then she came to my DM to say, oh, she's interviewing for this role. And she thinks, I'll be a great fit. This is a company that I applied to two months before, that they heard me, right? And stuff. So trust me. And one thing you should know that half of the time, I mean, we are all busy and we're all dealing with Nigerian shege or wherever country. But aside that, people are actually receptive. Like, people are not evil because people have made mistakes and they don't want people to make those mistakes, right? So I just realized that my video was not on. I'm sorry. Yeah. So people are not evil. People might be busy, but trust me, people are actually open, sharing with you when they are given the opportunity. So LinkedIn, Twitter, also, please attend events like this. I mean, you will not know that you could have gotten in touch with Mohammed or Ayo if you didn't. As busy as I am, if you send me a LinkedIn request and say, oh, I attended Duplo's event, I'm going to accept the request because I saw that you attended, this event organized by Duplo. So shout out to Duplo for organizing this. But also attend physical events. There are some people that you just have to converse with them physically, So I want to meet Ayo now. I've been looking forward to meeting him. I'm a big fan. I like him and everything. So I find an event that he's speaking at, and I attend. When they say any question, I ask question. I introduce myself. My name is Emmanuel Faith. I follow you on LinkedIn. I love this article you wrote on financial markets. This is my question. And I might even know the answer to that question, but I want him to know my voice, know my name, and know my face. So I asked the question. And then after the event, I go and meet him. Oh, I was the one that asked the question on financial capital markets and the role of developing macroeconomy in Nigeria. And so he remembers me and I kick up a conversation. He might have ghosted me on LinkedIn for like 3 months, but the fact that I took that extra step to go to a physical event that he's speaking at, I asked questions during his session. We make a deal for life. They are big people. I don't want to mention names. Big people. That's how I got into their space because I know that they are busy and they might not check my LinkedIn in 6 months. So I find an event they are speaking at and I go. I spend Uber money in Lagos, 8,500. But I know what I want, right? So sometimes LinkedIn will work for you, sometimes it will work for you, and sometimes you just have to go that extra mile, to connect with whoever you desire to connect. Yeah, but definitely, connection definitely works because and why is that? Even if that person does not have a role in their company or, they don't have an opening in their company, they have met you, they've seen how smart you are, how passionate you are. They might refer you for another role in another company with another colleague that is recruiting that they did not even like. So that's.
Okay, thank you so much, Emmanuel. That's quite detailed. Yeah, so I think even as a non-finance professional, I'll take note of that. Positioning can also come from events like this, as well as on social media platforms. Thank you. So you touched on something briefly. You said you actually studied economics and you transitioned into HR. So I'd like to go back to that. For people who have been doing finance or economics, accounting for some time, and they want a role in tech, and maybe not a financial, at some point, people can work in a certain line or sector for some time and decide that they want to transition. How were you as an individual able to also manage that, given that your background is actually economics and you're into human resources now?
Okay, interestingly, I think I have a YouTube video of that on that. Maybe I'll share the link. But trust me, the tips I shared with you is what I used. I had a transition plan. It was 1 year, it was 1 year. I knew that, was it 1 year? No, it was 9 months. So I knew that I wanted to move into HR. So the first thing I did was to write CIPM. I wrote CIPM when I was doing my NYSC. And the goal was this. I was not working in HR. Nobody was ready to take a bet on me to work out. But I know that Nigerian employers like CIPM. It's like Nigerian employers and CIPM like it's 5 and 6. I don't know what CIPM has done for them, but they like CIPM. So my goal was to ensure that by the time I was done with my NYC, I was CIPM certified. And trust me, it happened, right? The second, I already told you about how I read, HR Storybook and then, sent a DM to. Trust me, in 2019, I am not bragging, guys. You will find me in at least 5 out of 10 HR gathering in Lagos. People knew me. And I will not just attend. When I'm done attending, I will go to LinkedIn, right? It was a great delight meeting Taiwo Dayo Abato and Yemi Fashe at this event today. They spoke about XYZ. So if they don't remember me from the event, they will see that I touched And then, I ask intelligence questions. That's one thing I do. So you remember that if there's like, those events, all these conferences now, that there will be group tasks, something. I raise up my hand to represent the group. So you will know me, you will know my face by force, So I can't even count the number of conferences and I began to attend for free. People will send me DM, oh, this event is paid, but we see that you're very active. Are you interested? Who am I? I'm very interested, please. And then I think there was a window, and this might work for you if you're like working in a company. Always raise up your hand, like take up task. And it's not even just for moving to HR. So you're in growth, you want to move to marketing, or you're in marketing, you want to move to growth. Raise up your hand to take up something. Last year, I was teasing my colleagues that last year I had the opportunity to move from HR to product marketing if I want to. Why? Because I raised up my hand to take up a project in product marketing at CarrierWise, and I did exceptionally well. I remember that I tweeted it that if HR does not work in the nearest future, I just go back to marketing. But that would not have happened if I didn't raise up my hand to say, hey guys, I know about football. This product is a football-centric product. I can market it, right? So that's how I got into HR. Just an employee engagement, which leads me to like the next point, transferable skills. There was an employee engagement. They needed someone to handle the communications part of the employee engagement. And so like there were like 9 people in a room. Again, people have to be able to speak to your abilities. And all of them had mentioned my name. Oh, there's a guy, his name is Emmanuel Faith, he writes a lot on LinkedIn. There's a guy, his name is Emmanuel Faith, he writes a lot on LinkedIn. And so like 7 people out of 9 people mentioned my name. So they called me. And that was really my first entry into HR, because after the employee engagement, every next thing, they dragged me in. And by the time I was done serving, I got a contract role in HR immediately. So trust me, it's the same thing everywhere. So like, raise up your hand to take up projects, let people know, talk to people. That's one thing I've noticed. So my friends come to my DM and like, oh, I'm looking for this job. I'm like, since when? You didn't tell me. Tell people, oh, I am doing this presently, but I'm looking to do this next. I have even taken courses in this, and this. I remember one time, one of my friends told me that, oh, I'm looking to go into product design. I'm like, product design. And then like, she sent me a portfolio. I'm like, okay, yes, we are ready. Who do you want me to introduce you to? I'm very sure that if you had said product design and she didn't have a portfolio, I'll probably just laugh her up. And like, that might be wicked, but it was not intentional, because this is like a full HR person, and now she wants to move to product design. But she said, oh, I'm interested in product design, and she shared me a portfolio. Like I was first fascinated that where did you even develop this portfolio that you have all these amazing designs, right? So just talk to people, have a transition plan, connect with the right people, write necessary certification, and raise up your hands, raise up your hands to
Raise up your hands.
Yes, raise up your hand to take up.
That's key. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So I'm going to pose the same question that I asked Hayo, and which was that to Mohammed. What challenges have you faced while you transitioned, and how did you handle them?
Oh, okay. So, as I've said, I came from a non-finance background. I actually studied medical physiology, and I got an opportunity to join PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC in Lagos. And the good thing for me at that time was I was very young, and also the training program and training curriculum at PwC was very robust. So that helped me to really get on board very quickly. But even at that, it still took a lot. I like what Emmanuel said, which is as quickly as he knew wanted to go into HR, he started a CIPM. Coincidentally, I'm live and direct from the CIPM building, so we have some connection in that regard at this moment. But it's extremely important that you understand what are the certifications that are helpful, because you are at a disadvantage. You are trying to move through that industry. It's extremely important you show you show with that certification 2 things. You show that you are passionate and you can do what needs to be done. You also show a level of knowledge or at least the base level of knowledge ready for someone to take a chance on you. So as soon as I got into PwC, I started my ACCA qualification process. it was tough, but at the end of the day, it shows that you can have that resilience to go through those laborious work and task to succeed at the exams. And that shows the right kind of knowledge that is important to have. So being able to quickly identify the certifications process that is required, go through that, and be able to, and in tech now, you have what you call portfolios. You can start to build your portfolios, connect with people, and develop so for example, if I'm going into finance or going into data analytics, you want to take a project and help out with that project. And there are a lot of people in this in right now where you can take some projects up, if it's pro bono or even for a stipend, and you help them develop a solution that works, or some deep analysis that helps them change their direction or confirms their strategic direction. So those are things that you can, so you develop your portfolio over time and record as much as possible all what had happened. And if you can get some feedback, that someone else can give you some feedback, that shows that you have the motivation and you have the knowledge and you are gaining that experience over time. With these things, with these three things, people and recruiters are likely to give you that chance in that report. But it's challenging. I'm not going to downplay it at all. It's very challenging, but with the right attitude, it can be overcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayo. So I have a question for Mohammed. So as a finance professional, in terms of interview readiness, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Got that. In terms of interview readiness, what are the challenges that tech companies face, and how can finance professionals leverage this when going into an interview or when applying for a role to maybe demonstrate their skill sets?
Okay, thank you. I think the major barrier is around the information. So once you're going to an interview, though you do your research a lot about the company, but it's as much information you can get out there that is possible. So when you look at the tech space, a few of the tech companies, you can get information on what they do and all, but sometimes, for me personally, sometimes I have to look for the information in the various places. So you have your pitch decks, that's this website where you can check, as this person is, what are they into? Then you go into, even as possible on Twitter, just look up that company and see what are saying about them, what post is out there. And then also you check LinkedIn. So in terms of brand visibility, companies will have their websites, have their visibility on LinkedIn and other socials. But however, for you to get those real numbers where you want to go in there to speak that, yes, I think I know something about you. I remember holding an interview, and when the guy came and was saying the amount of terminals that were available, even me, my eyes lit up and said, you must have gone deep, you must have done some research to get to that level. Also, and just to take it back to what Ayo said, with that kind of, someone coming with that kind of detail, you know, is invested in joining your team. And that's because one thing, if you even look at it, let me just say, I want to compare recruiting someone doing an interview to like a football team recruiting a player as well. First of all, you want to know this person wants to work for you. It's not just a paycheck. I just coming to get my paycheck and move. So these are the things. By the time you get into the interview and you're delivering some vital points about the company and all that, there's nothing stopping you, like Emmanuel said, reaching out to someone on LinkedIn that works for that company. So to say, oh, I just want to understand this and that, definitely one or two things will help and give you more ammo when you get interview and set you apart from the rest.
Thank you so much. So I'll just move to the Q&A segment now to look through the questions that attendees have asked. So there's a question here from an anonymous attendee. I'm trying to transition to tech, specifically data analysis from finance, but I don't seem to get the data analysis role, seeing most of my experiences in finance. How do I achieve this? Is it best to position as a data analyst or a finance data analyst to at least get in the door? If Emmanuel is still here, can you please help us take this?
Yes, I am still here. So maybe this by okay, yes. So what's the goal? So what's the question? I'm going through the Q&A. Which of them? Okay, yeah, the last one.
Yes, the last one.
Yeah, I'm trying to transition to tech, specifically from data analyst, from finance, and I don't seem to get the data analysis role, seeing that most of experience is in finance. So one first question is that, have you worked on any live dash data before? So have you done a data, for example, on, do you have, what's your portfolio like? I mean, I can easily even just do this. Today's your lucky day. Yes, so with at cabal.com. Yes, I just shared my email, right? So if you have like a live dashboard, do you have a portfolio on this live dashboard? If the answer to that is no, then like you might not likely get an opening, right? So there are a lot of things to do. What is data? Data is really analyzing. What's data analysis? You're analyzing data. So nobody's giving you company data to analyze. Well, there is enough data on the internet. How many times was Labour Party mentioned in the last 3 months? In the last 90 days, how many times was corn mentioned? Because we're all about to eat corn. How many times was Peter Obi mentioned? You know, what is the correlation between LP and the number of new candidates that came up? Do a data on that, tell a story on that, tag all the big data analysts on Twitter. I can give you like 5 of them offhand. And when they respond, they will say, oh, they might even just like your tweets. Trust me, when someone likes your tweet, is a form of affirmation. You know, so they might not even retweet, they might not comment. All they did was like your tweet. Enter their DM, boss, thank you. I still say you like my tweet. I beg, I look for internship. I don't mind working for free. You know, I just want to do something real time. But if I feel like data analysis is one of the, and I'm not even trying to talk down on the efforts, you know, but I'm just saying that data analysis is one of the places where you can easily get, because everybody is dealing with data and there's enough data to analyze, either it's sufficient or not. So one, if you have a portfolio, send to my email. If you don't have one, start building one. Build solid portfolio around things that are trending. There was, you know, World Cup just a while ago. How many times was Lionel Messi mentioned? Since Cristiano Ronaldo moved to Saudi Arabia, how many times have Saudi Arabian league that nobody knew anything about until Cristiano Ronaldo moved there be mentioned, right? So do a portfolio, do a Tableau, do a BI, do something that is vivid and nice and everybody can say. Tag people, please, I beg, get me tag and retweet. Do not be ashamed to do that. See, every time I say me tag and retweet on Twitter, I always retweet, even if I don't know the person, because I don't know who will see my retweet and will get the person a job. So, but if you have a portfolio, please send to that email I shared with you and let's talk after. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. That's generous. So there's actually no name here. It's from an anonymous attendee. But if you can hear Emmanuel, he has dropped his email in the chat session. So send him an email with your portfolio, preferably, right, with your portfolio and what you've worked on in data, and you can pick up the conversation from there. So there's another quick question. I go through job vacancies and I say, why do tech companies hardly give entry level a chance? I'll pass this to Ayo. Is this so? First of all, is this true? Do tech companies hardly give entry levels a chance, and why?
Well, you should. Okay, thank you very much. And it's a dilemma because tech, especially for when you're dealing with tech startups, not the big established entities like Facebook, Google, and wherever the Flutterwave in Nigeria and Paystart in Nigeria. Those ones, you know, they've made a lot of money and they can build even academies or training of their staff or onboarding of them. For other startups that are in the fundraise segment, they are very lean, and they expect everyone to come in and carry their weight. So it's tough for them to bring in newbies, wherein they'll be asking a bit of training that needs to be done, on the job training, especially, and getting the job done. And also, you also got to ask yourself, for some of the leaders there, are also trying to develop their own leadership skills. So they're trying to get the business and the startup moving while trying to also build up their team. So it's a delicate act. So you will naturally expect that newbies are not easily welcome like that. It's tough, and that's why they always want to ensure that newbies understand what they want to come and do. Unlike in the finance practice, where, like, for example, the big four that we're talking of, PwC, KPMG, Ernst & Young, they already have a established academy that deal and train up newbies who have never ever understood anything about finance. So you understand the setup in tech is different from the setup in finance practice. So that's why it's a bit difficult to bring in extremely newbies into tech. But it's not like it's impossible. You've got to do what Emmanuel did, which is provide evidence that show your motivation. Try and take as many courses as possible. Try and come for these kind of programs. Try and put your hand up, speak up, ask intelligent questions, offer yourself up for tasks that can be done, and you will see that even as a newbie, you will be brought into the system.
Thank you, Hayo. So basically, it still boils down to showing up and putting yourself out there to get roles in tech. So there's another question here about transitioning into tech. So thanks for the amazing session. Are there job boards specifically for finance professionals? Please share if any. I think Mohammed or Emmanuel, can you please take that? Are there job boards for finance professionals specifically for tech?
Yeah, thanks, Ursula. I think it comes down to personal research, but the major job board everybody knows is LinkedIn. However, I think what I've seen people do is when you go on LinkedIn, search related companies and try to see if they have go to their website, check their careers. So a little bit of it is you have to put the work into. So for example, you go to a Duplo website or on LinkedIn, you see the related companies as well. So it's just the LinkedIn algorithm to give you something similar, and you keep checking, and I think that way it comes down to it, because actually looking for a job is a job on its own too.
All right, thank you so much. So LinkedIn, I think I've heard LinkedIn multiple times today. So if you're not yet leveraging the social platform, I guess it's time to start connecting with people, reaching out, and also applying for jobs in tech from there. So there's a question from Oluwabumi Folorenshaw. I believe this has been answered before while Ayo was talking about his transition. Please, to be a financial analyst, must you have ICANN? And also, will the recording of the program be made available? Yes, the recording will be made available. And also about the previous question about job boards, after this event, we'll try to put together some job boards where you can find tech roles as finance professionals as a resource for you. So hopefully you'll find it helpful. So the question about must you have ICANN to be a financial analyst? Ayo, can you please shed more light on this?
Oh, Sorry, I didn't know I was on mute. It's a chicken and an egg situation in which the ICANN certification or the AC certification proves to people who do not know you that you have that knowledge. So, and for a newbie who has not gotten an experience in finance, it's advisable you get this certification. Now, you will need the knowledge base. It's extremely important for you. But those are not the only knowledge you need. You also need knowledge of the industry you're going to work with. Like now, I'm in aviation. I need to understand aviation terms. That is not going to be taught in ICANN. I need to understand the company's specific terms. It's not going to be taught in ICANN. So there's a lot of learning that needs to be done that are non-finance, but they help you to do your job very well on finance. So I would say yes, if you can afford it, and you're a newbie who does not have experience, you should get those certifications. If you do not have the experience, they give you a springboard for you to leap to take the opportunities that are there. But some are also lucky. So for example, when I joined PwC, I had zero, I didn't have ICANN, I didn't have anything, I only had my PSC, but I had my brains and my intelligence. They took a chance on me and see what has happened over the last 16 years. So you still have those who would take you on board without that. But as each year rolls on, the competition is getting tighter. So you need to have something to show and prove that you are better than the rest. So feel free, take those relevant courses. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for expatiating on that, Ayo. So quick one, is there an age bracket in the industry? How can one mitigate against the challenge if crossing over as an experienced professional in non-IT? I would like you to still take this one, given your years of experience in finance, non-IT and IT. Is there an age bracket?
As it said, age is nothing but a number. Look, I have never, I don't see age as a barrier. I see your open-mindedness as a barrier. For someone like me, you can see my white hair. I know that I'm not that young, but yet I feel that openness, that willingness to buckle down and to have that young spirit to communicate with everybody, no matter how young or older than you that they have, and get the job done. In tech, one thing that is good that I love about tech is that there's nothing like ageism. Ageism is where people are discriminated against on the basis of their age. No, as long as you have that skill, as long as you can prove to people that you have that skill, you're welcome. Whether you're 16, 15 years old, whether you're 40, 53 years old, you are welcome. Just be able to develop that skill, communicate that skill, that you can use it and communicate how relevant it is. You're on the journey to come into tech. So please, there's no ageism in tech. That I can assure you about.
Thank you so much. So there's no ageism in tech. So just have an open mind and you can go for the role you have in mind. Just get the work done. Always raise your hands and position yourself. To the next.
Sorry, there's someone who wrote something here now and said there are ads with age limits. I agree with you. There are some ads that have age limits. Please apply if you think you have it. Even if they say, only those within the age of 25 years and below can apply, and you're 27, apply. prove and show them that despite that age differentiation, you can provide better value. Don't write yourself off. Let them be the one to take you out. Don't you take yourself out of the game. Thank you.
So go for it, even if there is an age limit on the advertised vacancy. Don't take yourself out. Let them be the ones to take you out. I'll soon turn to a motivational speaker. Maybe after this event, I've learned so many things. Okay, thank you, Ayo. So I'll pass the next question to my, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to, add to that, and maybe that's my last contribution for the meeting. So because from my nature of POV, I just wanted to explain why, some roles have age. So there is a lot of uniqueness that comes with a lot of roles. For instance, there are roles that actually require you to work genuinely late. For example, if you have friends that are in investment banking, there's a joke in investment banking that the day begins at 9 p.m., right? The day begins at 9. And the 9 is not 9 a.m. So the reasons why some roles have limits is they want to ensure that you are not maybe bonded by family responsibilities or things like that. So I am totally with Ayo when he says apply, like just apply. During the interview, come and explain how you're willing to give your best to the role, despite whatever it might be going on. One of the best hires that I had made for someone was a 29-year-old HND graduate, who had applied for an entry-level role that apparently had 26 years old at a limitation. So I knew the hiring manager had said, oh, this role, I know that is to, again, remember the importance of personal connection. So the person had reached out to me on LinkedIn because he had seen that was first connection with the hiring manager. See deliberation. So he didn't know the hiring manager, he didn't know me, but he saw that was first connection. And then he had also seen that, commented on the hiring manager's post a couple times. So he just assumed that maybe someone I know. So I knew this guy, spoke with him and then pitched him to the hiring manager. Trust me, he was one of the best hires he made, an HND graduate, for an accounting role, entry-level accounting role. Now he's certified already because the company paid for his certification. He was just hungry and eager to learn. I don't know, maybe because he finished from Polytechnic and he felt he had a lot to prove and all that. So just apply. You never can tell which one will go for you and which one will not. Thank you, everyone.
Well said.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So just apply. You don't know what's going to happen. Push yourself out there, even if there's an age limit. So are you still able to take one more question, Emmanuel, about the job boards?
Okay, yeah. So I honestly think that Mohammed has spoken to that. Yes, I know that there are job boards, but off my head, I don't know any for finance. But trust me, I'm very sure if you go to Twitter, you would probably see a lot. Just search for like people that like financial analysts, follow them, and then you'll see them post a lot.
Thank you so much. So Twitter, LinkedIn, you'll see vacancies on there. There's a question about data analytics here. What is the most recommended data analytics tool you would suggest finance professionals in tech industries other than spreadsheets? Mohammed, please help us answer this.
Okay, other than spreadsheet, you have the Power BI, but I think basically you need some level of analysis based on Excel too. But however, Power BI, I think you need to understand also that how your data fit from the database, the schemas and all that. So I think for the finance person of today, the analysis skill is highly needed, but there's some skills that you need to add on to that to get up there. So I think in Power BI it would likely be good to know a little bit about SQL, because that kind of fit into what you're going to do. So if you have to call up a query or get information from the big data, you can't download that on Excel. So typically, aside Excel, your SQL, also Power BI, Tableau, but these things are where you need extensive training, to be fair. Like it's like going from like Ayo said, having the L on your head, being a learner, you are going from 0 to getting to a beginner before you go to intermediate in all those kind of softwares. And they are more of high level, high end for big data. So basically just go with your SQL, Power BI, Tableau, there's the R as well. But when you start looking at it, not to discourage, but there are some cost implications to all this higher bit software so as well. So just back of your mind.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. I think I've seen questions about data analytics and finance here. So I think they are separate entities, or are they the same? Because there's another question about what are the courses we need to learn aside from Python and R. I know these are data analytics tools. So can we separate data analytics from finance, or are they one in all?
One thing I even like about the course that the individual was talking about, Coursera, it's some of the trainers in that course is a finance staff that of Google that are taking that course. So that's just it's a very good answer. The course itself is a very good answer of how finance helps in data analytics. Now data analytics helps in finance. Yeah, as it is today, every transaction that is going on is recorded, and you need in-depth data analytical skills to really get some insight on this data. So that course you're talking about, I don't want to mention it here, is extremely important, and I will advise you start it and end it, and try and take an internship or start some portfolio projects that can help you build that skill. It's like learning to drive, and then you look for opportunities to drive different cars to enhance your skill. That's how I said.
Thank you, Ayo. So we'll just take about 3 more questions before we close today. We've used roughly over 1 hour, 30 minutes. So there's a question about building a portfolio. How can one build a portfolio? I still don't understand, please. I think Mohammed touched on this before, but can you answer the anonymous attendee? How do you build a portfolio?
Okay. Now, I believe this individual, I'm going to make an assumption. I'm going to make an assumption that this person is not in a finance role at the moment, and this individual is not actively working in finance at the moment. Now, so that is when, because if you are in those roles, you're already building your portfolio. Every task you're doing on the job, every assignment that you're doing in the job are your portfolio. That is what goes into your CV, your curriculum vitae, or your resume. But on the other hand, if you are not in this sector, that is when internships are very important. Internships are like a dating phase where the company does not want to take full chance on you, and you also are trying to prove to the company that you are worthy. So you got an internship are cheap for the organization to take on, but also a good way for you to prove your skills. So you can go in, ask for internships, usually ask for a paid internship. But when you're really, really motivated, you can ask for an unpaid internship. And you go in there with specific assignments of what you want to do, like a project. You deliver on that project, that becomes your portfolio. You can go and do this in different companies. You can say, I want to take on a particular task. And say, I want to do a reconciliation for you. I want to help do this reconciliation and bring some insight, do some data analysis on that after the reconciliation, and provide some recommendations. That's all you do. You go into that organization and you then conclude it, provide recommendations. Hopefully your recommendations are implemented, and you can see the result. That is part of your portfolio, and that's a way to do it. Also, we have online job. I'll call it more like where you could take some tasks from people and from online. I'll get some links and share after this. You could request for someone, you could request for a task, online, and people can also provide you those tasks that you can do. And sometimes, most times, they are paid, and over time you will build your portfolio little by little. Thank you.
That's insightful. Thank you so much. So our second to the last question. I'll let Mohammed take this. That's from an anonymous attendee as well. Okay. Please, I'd like to ask if you have an idea for setting up a finance structure. So how do you set up a structure for a fintech startup that doesn't have any setup yet? How do you set up a finance structure for a fintech startup that doesn't have any? Hi, Mohammed, are you there?
Sorry, I was on mute. I thought I was... Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
So I was saying, I said, first of all, is to put the controls in place, approval controls, how does the workflow moves. It might not be necessarily the automation at the first instance, but majorly, typically, every company will have an email, so you can do email approval that shows the process flow of, for example, payment. Then you move on to scoping the work. Once you scoping the work, more of how do you record your financial information. So you look at it and say, you don't want to underscope and overscope. So this might take 1 or 2 months to see which ERP or software can best serve the work or the operations of the company. And then you do that. Another follow-up is more of your reporting. What are the reporting tools you want to use? Typically, cost saving, you start with Excel, and you then move on to your Power BI, and you move up like that to get more reporting, like real-time reporting. But basically, these are the things, and also documentation of your processes and policies. So when you have those processes and policies in place, you get to know that this is what works and this is what you carry on, such as accounting manuals, your process manuals that shows the stop and start of each process, and just make it very clear and less cumbersome. So these are the things that setting up the structure entails at the first hand. And so as the company continues to expand, you make sure your document is a living document. By that, I mean you update it as much as possible. Like when processes change, you keep updating it, because in the event of audit, you're going to be measured by what you have actually documented down and see the processes are in place. So basically, you set up your controls, your approval processes. You also look at how you record information data, because you want your data to be as complete and as accurate as possible. So these are the things where you ensure that all transactions are captured timely and accurately. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope that answered your question, Anonymous. So there's a question from Martha about, do you accept interns? If yes, how do I apply for internship? I believe this was for Emmanuel, or is this for the Evolving CFOs community or Duplo? So if it's for Duplo, we are always hiring talents. You can view our careers page on tryduplo.com and check if there's an internship. Also, you can shoot an email to careers@tryduplo.com. I just dropped the email in the chat. So Ayo, when you say something, are you hiring an intern?
Yes, as I said, we're always on the lookout for great talent. So if you're really looking for finance roles in my sector, please definitely hit me up with your CV and we can have a conversation.
Okay, that's good.
I will share my email address afterwards.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, there's another question here. Can a national diploma student who studied banking and finance in school also go for internship? Can he flourish? Ayo.
Oh, can a ND student? Definitely. Sorry to say, I study medical physiology. So an ND student who studied banking and finance had more understanding of finance than I had when I started my career. So please, you have the world at your feet. Take the opportunity, please.
Thank you so much. So there's someone who has been raising his hand throughout this session. That's Shedrack. I'm just going to give him an opportunity to speak if he's still here.
Okay.
I believe he has a question or maybe he has something to say to Ayan Mohammed.
Okay, hi, Shedrack.
I just gave you permission to speak. You
Sorry,
can
my
use it.
question has been answered. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Someone asking
great.
about the tools for data analytics for finance professionals.
All right, great. Glad
Yeah.
to know that.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll just wrap up with this last question for Miracle. What do you do when you're experiencing a career stagnation, Mohammed? So is this in relation to landing a role? Please take the question, Mohammed.
Okay, I think just this would be as I'm off the top of my head. So I think if you are experiencing stagnation, actually, I think you just take stock and see what are the blockers. Do you believe you can do more where you are? However, you are not seeing the opportunity or you're not asking for it. Like Emmanuel has said, most of the time is you raise your hand, speak up, you kind of position yourself that yes, you can do this. But if is the other way around where you feel the opportunities are not coming, and usually, like I say, is your career is in your hand. You can always look at and see opportunities that fit your career plan and goals.
All right, thank you so much, Mohammed. It has actually been a very insightful and educating session. I don't know if you have final comments, Ayo, as well as Mohammed, before we wrap up.
Oh, thank you very much for the opportunity and everyone who has joined in and stayed this long. I really appreciate you. To me, landing a role in finance and tech is very possible. Tech is an exciting industry. It's an industry that never sleeps. That's why it's tech. It's an industry where you've got to always put on your thinking cap. You've got to be very agile, and you've got to be very data driven. And that is why finance people kind of have an edge. Why? Because you also deal with data, even though it's in numbers. So as you put in the effort to build up your skills and your CV in finance, as you also take the opportunity to network and connect with finance people, and as you sniff out opportunities and apply, you will see that the doors will begin to open onto you. And once you are given the opportunity, please maximize it, provide value, provide excellence. Yes, I know that everybody is replaceable, but make yourself almost irreplaceable by the value you bring in and the kind of advice you provide, and you see that you will be well regarded and well respected. Thank you. It's been a great time here.
Yeah, sure, it has been. Thank you so much, Ayo. Mohammed.
Yeah, thank you, Ayan. Thank you, Mr. So thank you for the participants and being this long. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and also share my journey and some insights on what I know. And I just said it on the senior colleague. So basically, I think in the fintech space, is fast-paced. You must have a lot of resilience, which I just touched on. You'll be able to take a lot on and also be able to say no when you look at something that I said, oh, it doesn't sit well with you. So saying no in a good way, so you'll be able to focus as well. But to get opportunities and position yourself learn as much as you can, improve yourself. And basically, I keep saying anything you know is for yourself first before you can even apply it. So in as much as you want to get the role, you want to do this, you want to do that, everything is possible. I think that's my story, that's my storyline. Everything is possible. What you look for out in the universe, you put and you get it. So please chin up, ensure that you get enough experience, work done as much as you can. Apply. Don't cut yourself out. Like, I don't think if I see a role that I like, it's just once I say I can do this, I just do the application. Then I don't check on them that thing. Let them come back to you as I said and say, oh, sorry, we're moving on with this. So just take, I think the best person I can bet on is yourself. Like, you need to give yourself that chance to say, yes, I can do this before anybody can now take it up. So, and basically, this is a space where a lot of opportunities keep coming up because Africa is just so much growth that has to happen in Africa. And then a lot of companies will come to kind of disrupt and also provide solutions. So there's always a need for a finance person. And definitely opportunities to arise. You just have to place yourself and position yourself in the right place at the right time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Thank you, Hayo. I myself, I have learned a lot today, and I'm not even a finance professional. So I'm going to be taking the key learnings with me. I believe the attendees also learned a lot. Thank you to everyone that stayed up till this time. I'd just like to reiterate that this is organized by Evolving CFOs Community. It's a Duplo-powered community for finance leaders, finance professionals, where you can network. And we also have events like this periodically. So if you'd like to join, I'm going to leave a link in the chat as well as our email to contact us. Fortunately, Hayo is now a member, so you can also reach out to him through our community. And we'll also share his LinkedIn URL as well. I should also add that Hayo and Mohammed put together resources for you, the attendees and the registrants. So after this event, you'll be getting it, you get a mail from us with the resources. Thank you so much, everyone. It means a lot that you stayed. It's been over an hour, almost 2 hours actually. So thank you for attending. Thank you to our speakers. Hayo, Mohammed, thanks for accepting our invitation and staying with us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Mohammed, and thank you, Emmanuel.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.